Okay, so here's an update with what's been going on. After yesterday's karate lesson, basically I was extremely famished, couldn't even turn on the camera. It was that intense. And basically, what happened after that, as a result, is Robbi began to get contractions. And you can basically see in some of the footage that it got real, okay? Waters broke, midwives attended, I could go on and on and on, okay? There was even points where the midwives were advising Robbi to push, okay? And then what transpired is we basically found out that she shouldn't be pushing because the level of dilation, for those of you who know about that, wasn't at the appropriate level. With all of the events that have taken place, you know, finished the karate lesson yesterday, feeling so famished I couldn't even engage in terms of turning on the camera at all. And then Robbi started to actually show real strong signs of labor. She was getting strong contractions, she was getting 3 contractions within 10 minutes. At some point she was even getting 4 within 10 minutes, which to most medical professionals is a true sign of labor. So then straight through that process her waters broke. Straight after her waters broke, she basically continued to show those strong signs of labor. We had the midwives over at the house basically watching most of this process, as you may see in some of the footage. And as a result, basically, you know, there were even times where those midwives were encouraging Robbi to push until an examination was done, and it was basically discovered that Robbi had not dilated to, well, even up to 4 centimeters, let alone past 4 centimeters. Now, 4 centimeters, for those of you who know, is the amount of dilation that they basically stipulate is an indication of active labor. 10 centimeters is when you're expected to push and baby's head is coming out. So they were basically saying that Robbi was still at 2 centimeters, which is a contradictory piece of information compared to what we were told on Tuesday by another midwife in the hospital who conducted an examination and said Robbi at the time was 3 centimeters. So we've had some mixed messages, we've had some different information in terms of, go see mama, mama's resting. In terms of, you know, who's correct or what, we don't know. So anyway, long story short, the way we finished at the house, because we didn't get all of the footage of that, is we then went from the house to the hospital. Okay.
Hey guys, so things didn't go according to our plan or expectation at the house. So as a result, we're now at the hospital. We've basically arranged some childcare. So the older 2 children are with their uncle, and I've brought my wife and the younger one to the hospital so we can have a basic check. After the checkup here, we'll probably be going back home, but at least we'll be listening to hear what the doctor has to say here. So keep you up to date, keep you informed, stay tuned.
Basically the hospital wanted to do some additional checks. For those of you who know, if a woman's water breaks in the pregnancy process, there's a ticking time clock at that point where there's an expectation for the baby to be born within 24 hours of the waters breaking, because apparently when the waters break there becomes no barrier between the outside world and that baby, and thus to, you know, reduce the opportunity for infection or anything else. It's expected for the baby to basically come within 24 hours of water. So, you know, effectively on the medical professionals clock, that time clock has begun. So Robbi didn't sleep all of last night because of this process. I didn't sleep all of last night because of this process. I've hardly slept now. I think I got like an hour of sleep when we got back from the hospital. And long story short, we got to the hospital. I should have recorded more footage of the hospital. I only got a little bit. But when we were actually at the hospital, we got in there. There was already like 3 or 4 patients in there, 3 or 4 women in that ward. And then straight after we got there, another 3 or 4 women came in, all looking like they were about to go. You know, and as a result, basically the ward got filled up, and not only did it get filled up, but additionally it was shift change time. It was just between 7 and 8 a.m. So because it was shift change time, what was happening is all the staff from the night shift were getting out, all the staff from the morning shift were coming in. And if you know anything about medical professionals, what they then do is they do basically like a handover and a morning briefing or whatever. So they all went off to morning briefing. So there was no actual staff on the ward except for one lady who's actually in charge of the ward. She was the only lady left on the ward, and she basically had a conversation with Robbi and basically said to Robbi, look, we'd advise you to stay, but if you want to go and get some sleep, you know, that's your call. So Robbi had to sign documents to basically say she's voluntarily discharging herself so we could get out of there. Now, we had the good old Uncle Joe who came round and was with the children whilst we went out to the hospital. And now that we're back, you know, we've sat down, we've had breakfast, we got ourselves together a little bit, and then it was rest time. So I fell asleep straight after eating. Robbi fell asleep straight after eating. She's still sleeping now. She's got up a couple times, but she's, you know, she needs the rest, all right? Because especially if baby's coming soon, she needs to have that strength to be able to push. And again, if you see from the other footage, you know, it takes a lot of work. So yeah, guys, you know, we're going to try and keep you as much updated as possible because it's really that real, and this is an experience we want to share with you guys on our journey in terms of our faith, our family, and also finance. So, you know, feel free, you know, if you're watching this video and you've got comments or questions that you want to ask about the process, feel free to put them in. It's not our first baby, so we can answer quite a few of those questions, including kind of like the medical care and what we think about it, etc., etc. Yeah, she's enjoying that rest. All right, guys, so stay tuned, and yeah, you know, let's see how this goes.